So the first thing I did was to mark a starting point, and I marked my shoulder line just the way we do it for a basic bodice. And then I went ahead to mark out my neckline. I used 3 inches for the depth and the width. You can use any measurement of your choice. You can use 3.5, you can use 4 inches, depending on the kind of neckline that you want. But for this particular one, I want a small neckline. That's why I use 3 inches for the width and for the depth. And then the next thing I did was to connect my lines. I gave my neckline a block, so in order for me to be able to get my round neck perfectly. If you watch our video on how to make a basic bodice, you will see that when you give your neckline a block, or when you give your pattern a block, it serves as a guide, and everything goes well smoothly. So the next thing I did was to connect the blocks and then use the curved parts of my ruler to get the neckline, as you can see me do in the video. After that, I went ahead to slant shoulder line my shoulder line. I came down by 1 inches and I slant it. Remember, your shoulder is not straight, your shoulder is kind of slopey, so you don't want to give your blouse or your basic bodies or your top a straight shoulder. It will not sit well. Then the next thing I did was I measured the the shoulder to my waistline, shoulder to my under bust, and I got my blouse length. I used 22 inches for the length of my blouse. And for my armhole, I used 6.5. Yours can be 7, yours can be 6, depending on your measurements. So if you want to get an armhole length, all you need to do is to divide your bust by 6 inches, and whatever you have, you use it for the armhole length. All right, so you want to mark out your bust point line, your under bust line, your waistline, which is the same thing as the half length, and your blouse length. And you're going to connect these lines with your straight ruler, as you can see me do in the video. You also want to label these lines so you don't get confused. You can label them, but as for me, I didn't, but at a point I did, as you will see later in the video. So the next thing you want to do is to determine the middle of the armhole length and then come in by half an inch. I came in by half an inch for the armhole. Reason be that you don't want the armhole to have excess by the time you are done sewing, by the time you are done fixing your sleeve. You don't want it to have excess, you don't want it to be puffing out. So that is why we come in by half an inch. And then you want to place your curved ruler. Can you see how I'm positioning my curved ruler to make sure that it touches the line, that's chest line? The curved ruler has to be on top of that line, and it also has to connect with the shoulder line, as you will see by the time I am done connecting these lines. Can you see how smooth the line is? So the next thing I did was to, of course, divide my bust by 4, and my bust measurements was 32. I divided by 4, that gave me 8 inches, and I marked it right there on the bust line. And then the next thing I did was to come in by 3.5 inches from the center front for our dart line. I came in by 3.5 inches from the center front. I marked it all the way down. I marked it all the way down to the blouse length, and then I connected it with my straight ruler. Make sure your lines are straight and have enough points so you don't get confused. All right. So after connecting my lines, the next thing I did was to come in by half an inch on the waistline on both sides. That gave me 1 inches. This is for our dart. So you are going to come in by half an inch from the waistline. You are going to come in by half an inch on both sides, and then you are going to connect it like so. For our basic bodice, remember our basic bodice is just from our shoulder to our half length, so we just connect it all the way to the bust point. But this is a full top, so we are going to connect it from that waistline down, and then from that waistline also to the bust point. Okay, do not mix it. It is very easy. When you pay attention, you will get it. It's very simple and easy. Come in by half an inch on both sides from the waistline, and then connect it to the bust point. Also connect it down to the blouse, to the down of the blouse. Sorry. Okay, so can you see what we have now? This is for the dart. This is for the dart. Okay, I did not take 1 inch all the way down, neither did I take 1 inch all the way up. I just took 1 inch in on the waistline, and then connect it to the down of the blouse, and then connected it to the bust point line. Okay, this is me labeling my lines. Like I told you earlier, I at a point I got confused, so I had to label my lines. So do well to label your lines so you don't mix it up. Okay, moving on, the next thing I did was to come down by 1 inches from my bust point line. I came down by 1 inches, and then I connected the lines like so for our bust dart. I came down by 1 inches from my bust point. I did not come down by 1 inches from the under bust line, but rather I came down by 1 inches from the bust point line. I'm repeating this so that you can get it, okay? Please don't be angry. This video promises to be a little bit too long. Yes, this is because I want you to get it, so I am taking my time to break it down so that you can understand it, so that it can be very very easy for you. So the next thing I did was to mark the center of my shoulder. I had 4 inches left from the neckline line, so I marked the middle of my shoulder. Okay, I marked it. Remember, I used 3 inches for my neck width, so I had 4 inches left. My shoulder is 14 divided by 4, that gave me 7. So I marked the middle and I connected the lines. I extended the lines, that line. The reason is because we are going to eliminate this bust dart. Okay, you are not going to be sewing the bust dart line at the same time and sew the normal dart. No, your blouse is going to be looking so tacky. So what we do is we connect the dart all the way to the shoulder, and then we open it up so that we can be able to eliminate the bust dart line. So I'm going to repeat it again. I measured my shoulder and divided it by 2. I had 4 inches left on the shoulder, and I divided it by 2 and then connected the lines, my dart line. I extended the dart line to the shoulder, and then I went ahead to cut out the necklines, basically the bodies, and then I slashed that line open so that I'll be able to eliminate the bust dart. Okay, watch closely and see what I'm going to do right now. You can stop anywhere. It's not necessary for you to slash it all the way to the down, but if you feel slashing it all the way to down will be easier for you, it's fine, it's okay, it is fine. Okay, I'm trying to just bring out a block so that it will be easier for me to be able to eliminate the dot line. Okay, so this is me trying to fold my dot in. Yes, in order for you to eliminate a dot, you have to fold it in. So be very careful not to fold all the way to the how will I put it now? You see that place that I slashed open, that burst point line. Don't fold it everything straight. No, remember the line was slanted. So what you are folding is going to be slant, just like you sewing a dart. You don't sew a dart all the way straight, like as if you are holding 1 inch straight up. No, you slant it. The one towards the burst point has to be very tiny, almost like there is no folding there at all, and then it goes down to the side of your bodice or of the blouse. Okay, just the way I did it, just the way I folded it, so that you will not end up having your bust points jumping up by the time you are done sewing. Okay, so you want to also do it to hold this down with a paper tape. If you have a paper tape or you have a sellotape, you want to hold it down. The next thing I did was to mark out my waist measurement. I marked out my waist measurement. My waist measurement is 26 divided by 4 is 6.5, and then my hip measurement is 39 divided by 4, that gave me 9.75. Yes, and then I also marked my under bust measurements. On this hip line, I came in by 1 inch. This is because the length of my blouse is not up to my hip. Okay, so if I use this exact of my hip measurement, my blouse is going to be very open at the down, so I want it to be fit. That is why I came in by 1 inch. We are going to see how my blouse looks like by the time I am done connecting these lines. Now, after connecting the lines, they were looking so sharp. All you have to do is use the curved part of your ruler and blend a little bit in. Just blend it so it can be curved. Your body is curvy, a kind of curvy sweet curve. Okay, so it's not sharp, and it is not straight. So use your curved part of your ruler to blend these lines. Can you see how I'm doing it? Can you see how it looks now? It looks much better. Yes, I've removed those sharp lines with my curved ruler. Okay, can you see how curved it is now? Take a look at it. Beautiful. So the next thing I did was to come up by 1 inches on the down part of my blouse. I came up by 1 inches and gave it a very nice curved shape. Yes, I do not want the down of my blouse to be just straight like that and looking so sharp. No, I wanted it to have a little bit of sweet curveness. Oh my god, I love this curve a lot. Okay, so this is how I did it, and my blouse was already looking so sweet and beautiful even when I am not done. So the next thing I did was to go ahead and cut out my blouse. So after cutting, this is how my blouse looks like. So I had to cut out a piece of paper. I'm going to be pasting this piece of paper on this shoulder. Yes, you see that part of the shoulder that is open, that place where we slashed open, that we slashed open when we wanted to eliminate our bust dart. Yes, I'm going to paste this paper under it so that I can hold it down with a tape. That is our new shoulder line. So I am going to paste a paper under it so that by the time I am transferring this pattern to my fabric, I will not end up making a mistake or trying to close it up because I've already forgotten why I opened it or any reason anything can happen. So I secured it with a paper under it. Please do well to secure yours with a paper also, and remember to tip those 2 points. those 2 points, you see that space in between them, that is your new shoulder line. This space, this 1.5 inch space that you are seeing, that is open, where you are seeing the wrapper I used to cover my table under, that is your new shoulder line. So you are going to tip those points when you cut it out on your fabric. Okay, so I finally found my sellotape, and I'm going to secure it, and I'm going to show you just how it looks like after securing this. Ta-da! So this is how my front blouse looks like after securing this, and I went ahead to cut out my neckline, and my front pattern for my full top is ready. Looking so good, right? Yes, yours might even be more gooder and better than mine, as long as you do it well according to instruction. Alright, so let's move on to the back pattern. Yes, so we mark a line that serves as a guide. So this line serves as a guide. So for this back pattern, remember what I taught you when we were treating basic bodies. Your back is shorter than your front. Okay, let's leave that aside. Let's start from the shoulder. I went ahead to mark my shoulder line. 14 divided by 2 gave me 7 inches, not by 4. I made a mistake earlier. Okay, so I divided my 14 inches shoulder measurements by 2, and that gave me 7 inches. Okay, so I went ahead to mark my 7 inches. The next thing I did was to mark 3 inches for the width of my neck and 1.5 inches for the depth of the neck, and then I connected the lines as you can see me do in the video. Remember, I used 3 inches for the front, and also going to use that same 3 inches for the back, for the width. Okay, so after that, connect it with your ruler, and then you have your back neckline. I also went ahead to connect the lines of my neckline with my curved ruler. Okay, because I am doing a round neck, a small round neckline, so I will always need that curved part of my ruler. So moving on, I went ahead to mark out the length of my blouse. Remember, our back is shorter than the front. Mine is shorter with 1 inches, while some theirs is shorter by 1.5. So I am going to be reducing the length of my blouse by 1 inch for this back pattern, meaning that instead of making use of 22 inches, I'm going to be making use of 21 inches for the length of my blouse for the back pattern. Remember, I said while we were treating the basic bodies lesson, I taught you that your back is kind of shorter than the front. Okay, while some is shorter by 1.5 inches, some is shorter by 1 inches. Mine is shorter by 1 inches, so I'm going to be deducting that 1 inches from the length of my blouse for the back pattern. So instead of making use of 22, I made use of 21 and connected the lines. The next thing I did was to mark from my shoulder to my waistline. I measured from my shoulder to my chest line, to my chest line. I made use of 6.5 inches for my armhole, and then I connected the lines. After connecting the lines, I went ahead to label it chest line so I don't get confused. So the next thing I did, I measured from my shoulder line to my waistline, which is 14.5. For the front, we made use of 15.5, and for the back, we are going to be making use of 14.5. Reason being that the back is shorter than the front by 1 inches. All right. So I went ahead to connect these lines with my straight ruler. All right. Make sure to connect them with your straight ruler and label it your waistline. Your waistline is the same thing as your half length line. Yours can be 16, it can be 17, it can be 18. As our faces are different, our measurements are different. All right. So the next thing I did was to come in by 1 inch on the waistline. I came in by 1 inch and connected it to the neckline. Remember, this is because we want to eliminate this excess that we usually see at the back of our dress. After making a dress and after fixing your zipper, you'll be seeing something like a bump, like a swollen something at the back of the blouse. So this is where we are going to be eliminating it from. This is how we remove it. From the waistline, you are going to come in by 1 inch. You can also come in by 1.5, whichever one is okay, and you're going to connect it to that point where your neckline started from. It gave us a slant look. Your back is inward, it is not straight. All right, so we are going to cut in this part of that. Is why I labeled it like so. It is not among our measurements. So after that, before you now come and start marking on the shoulder line, this time your that line for the back is not going to be straight because you've already removed this excess. It's going to give you a slanty shape. So don't be scared when you see that the line is not straight for the back. It is not meant to be straight. If you do it the way I taught you, it is not going to be straight. But if you make the center back of your blouse or of your top or of your basic bodies to be straight, your shoulder line is going to be straight and you are going to end up having excess on the zipper side. We don't want you to have excess on the zipper side. We want it to sit perfectly and blend in with that your nice shape at the back. All right, so this is it. The next thing I did was to come down by 1 inch. Okay, I'm still trying to connect it. It is not straight. All right, so I'm trying to make sure that all the points connect with each other. Yes, if it doesn't connect with each other, you're going to end up having a wrong shoulder measurement. All right, so moving on, I came down by 1/2 inch for the back shoulder. Yes, for the slope, I came down by 1/2 inch and then I connected the lines like so. Okay, and then the next thing I did was to indicate the middle of my armhole length. I had 6 inches, so the middle was 3 inches, and I came in by 0.25. Yes, we don't have breasts at the back, so we don't want it to be too inward. We are not making a C shaped dress or alter neck, so the back shouldn't be inward that much. Okay, and then I went ahead to mark my bust measurements. Remember, I used bust 32. I divided it by 4 and it gave me 8 inches. So this is me trying to connect my armhole with my curved ruler, or rather with my armhole curve. Make sure your ruler is resting on top of that chest line. Alright, so this is what we have. Mine was not connected properly. I had to, okay, it was not resting on the line, so I had to correct it. As you can see, make sure you observe your patterns. So remember, we're not perfect to make mistakes, so you want to make sure that everything is well before you go ahead and cut out your pattern. If not, you're going to be having a wrong pattern, and the wrong pattern will give you a wrong fitting. Okay, I finally corrected it and marking the place where I don't want to have. All right, now the next thing I am going to do is to mark out my dart line. From that line, that 1 inch line that you marked, you're going to come in by 3.5. Remember, I used 3.5. So now 3.5 plus that 1 inch that you removed, that's 4.5, because we need a straight line for our darts. Okay, so I took 4.5 from the center back all the way up to the chest line, and then I connected it with my straight ruler. Can you see what I am doing? I connected it with my straight ruler, and then after that I am going to come in by 1/2 inch from the waistline. I came in by 1/2 inch on both sides, which gave me 1 inch, and I also extended the lines down to where my blouse length line is. Yes, can you see what I did? I connected it also to the chest line. Can you see how I'm doing it? I did not carry the 1 inch all the way straight. No, I connected the lines because this is our dart line. Okay, this is how our back dart line looks like. So the next thing we are going to do is to get the measurement of our waist. My waist is 26 divided by 4, that is 6.5. I marked 6.5 inches from that waistline, no, not from the underbust or chest point though. I marked my waist measurement, and then I also marked my hip measurement, and I came in also by 1 inch because I want my blouse to be fit. I don't want it to be too big at the down. And then I went ahead to connect the lines as you can see me do in the video. Alright, so after connecting the lines, I also went ahead to blend it. You can see it had a very sharp mark right there. You want to blend it in so that it can be curved. Just a little, blend it in a little with the curved part of your ruler. Alright, blend it in. Can you see what I did? Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Can you see how good it looks now? I have removed that sharp shape that we had before. So the next thing I did was to also come up by 1 inch right there at the side, and then I also connected it with my curved ruler because I want the down of my blouse to be looking curvy. I don't want it to be shaped like that, to be straight, because being straight is going to give it a very sharp funny look, which I don't want. So this is how I want it, and I'm going to cut that part out by the time I am cutting this pattern out. Okay, this is me cutting out my pattern. While cutting your pattern, make sure you follow the lines. Do not go beyond the lines. Do not go above the lines. If you go above the lines, you are going to have added to that measurement, and if you go beyond it, you are going to reduce the measurement. Okay, so this is how our back pattern looks like. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. Yes, and this is the front as well. This is the front. Yes, so this is how we yes, so this is how we come to the end of our class today of how to cut a basic full top. While I was cutting this, I forgot to add extra 1 inch allowance for that while I was taking my waist measurements. So I'm going to add extra 1 inches for that while I am cutting this out on my fabric. Okay, so if you forgot like me, do well to add it while you are cutting it out on your fabric. If not, by the time you hold your that and also hold extra 1 inches on the both sides of your full top, it's not going to be your size, it's going to be short. Thank you so much for watching.